She told everyone I was too sick to walk her down the aisle. I just smiled and hung up the phone. See, 3 months earlier, I'd beaten stage 1 thyroid cancer. Clean scans, normal blood work. My oncologist, Dr. Martinez, had cleared me for full activity back in October. But my daughter in law, Sarah, she's an ICU nurse, and she had everyone convinced that my compromised immune system made me too fragile for family gatherings. The engagement party? Dad's too weak from treatment. Thanksgiving? The crowd might give him an infection. Christmas? He needs to conserve his energy. And now their wedding? Apparently happened yesterday, without me. We kept it small because of your condition, Sarah had said on the phone, her voice dripping with fake concern. I looked at my latest lab results sitting on the kitchen counter. White blood cell count, 7.2. Completely normal. That's when I decided to give them a wedding gift they'd never forget. It started 8 months ago with my diagnosis. Papillary thyroid carcinoma. Sounds scary, right? Stage 1, though, the kind where they remove your thyroid, give you 1 dose of radioactive iodine, and send you home to recover. Sarah was there when I got the news. She held my hand in the doctor's office, tears in her eyes. "Don't worry, Dad," she whispered. "I'll take care of everything." And she did. Too well. Within a week, she'd appointed herself my medical coordinator. Every doctor's appointment, she wanted the details. Every test result, she needed to interpret for the family. Every treatment decision, she had an opinion. "Your immune system is going to be compromised for months," she told Mike, my son, during one of their visits. "We need to be very careful about exposing him to crowds." I was sitting right there, feeling fine, actually. The surgery went perfectly. 6 weeks of recovery, then back to normal life. That's what Dr. Martinez had said. But Sarah knew better, apparently. The first event I missed was Mike's birthday dinner at Romano's. $47 a plate. Reservation for 12 people. I'd been looking forward to it for weeks. "Dad, Sarah thinks it's too risky," Mike said when he called to uninvite me. "The restaurant's packed on weekends. Too many germs." I looked at my calendar. This was 3 weeks post-surgery. I felt great. Hell, I'd been back at work for a week already, managing my hardware store like nothing happened. "Mike, I'm fine. Dr. Martinez cleared me for normal activities." "Yeah, but Sarah says doctors don't always consider the psychological stress of social situations on cancer patients." Psychological stress. I'd run a business for 30 years, dealt with contractors, customers, and suppliers daily. But dinner with family was too stressful. I let it slide. Family harmony, you know? Then came the engagement party. Mike and Sarah had been dating 2 years. Good girl, I thought. Hardworking nurse, took care of people for a living. The party was at Sarah's sister's house. Nothing fancy, just close family and friends. 2 days before, Sarah called. "Dad, I'm so sorry, but I've been thinking. You're only 4 months out from treatment. Your white blood cell count might still be recovering." My labs were normal last week. I know, but normal for a cancer patient isn't the same as normal for a healthy person. I see this at the hospital all the time. Patients think they're ready, but their bodies need more time. She had numbers, always had numbers. WBC ranges for post-chemo patients, infection rates at social gatherings, statistics about cancer recurrence triggered by stress. I'm not a medical professional. Sarah is. She works with cancer patients every day at Dallas Methodist. When she rattled off terms like neutropenia and immunosuppression, who was I to argue? Mike stopped by that evening. "Sarah feels terrible about the party, Dad. She's just worried about you." I understand. She's looking out for me. But something felt off. That night, I called Dr. Martinez's office, asked his nurse about my latest blood work. "Mr. Thompson, your numbers look excellent. White cells at 7.2, well within normal range. No signs of immunosuppression at all." Interesting. Thanksgiving rolled around. My sister Janet hosts every year. Same people, same house for 15 years. Turkey, football, family arguments about politics. Nothing I couldn't handle. Sarah called 3 days before. "Dad, I hate to do this again, but I'm really concerned. Thanksgiving gatherings have the highest transmission rates for respiratory infections. With your thyroid hormone still adjusting, your body just isn't ready to fight off viruses." "Sarah, I feel fine. Better than I have in months. That's actually common with thyroid cancer patients. You feel good, but internally your systems are still recovering. I've seen patients relapse because they pushed too hard too soon. There it was again. The medical authority, the statistics, the concern. Mike picked up the phone. Dad, maybe it's better to be safe. One more holiday at home won't hurt. So I spent Thanksgiving alone, watched football, ate a frozen dinner, thought about my wife, Marie, and how she would have seen right through this nonsense. Christmas was the same story. New Year's Eve, Mike's work promotion party. Every family gathering, Sarah had a medical reason why I shouldn't attend. His energy levels aren't stable yet. Crowds are too stimulating during recovery. He needs consistent sleep schedules. 8 months of isolation, 8 months of missing family moments, 8 months of watching my relationship with Mike slowly change. He started calling less, visiting less. When he did come by, he looked at me differently, like I was fragile, breakable. How are you feeling today, Dad? He'd ask, the same way you'd talk to someone in hospice care. Sarah always had updates for him, my progress, my setbacks, my treatment timeline, except I wasn't in treatment anymore, hadn't been for 4 months. But Sarah was keeping detailed notes. She'd text Mike after every conversation we had. Talk to your dad today. He seemed tired, might be pushing himself too hard at the store. Your dad mentioned a headache yesterday. Could be treatment related. I'll keep monitoring. 23 messages over 2 months, all documenting my supposed decline, all creating a narrative of a sick man who couldn't handle normal life. The insurance statements told a different story. $47,000 in treatment costs, all covered, all completed by September. Clean scans in October, normal labs in November, December, and January. But Mike wasn't seeing those numbers. He was seeing Sarah's version. And that's how I ended up excluded from my own son's wedding. The call came on a Tuesday morning, February 14th, Valentine's Day. I was restocking paint cans at the hardware store when my phone rang. Dad? Mike's voice sounded strange, happy but nervous. Hey son, what's up? Well, I have some news. Sarah and we got married yesterday. I stopped stacking cans. Yesterday? Yeah, we kept it small, just immediate family. You know, because of your condition and everything. My condition. There it was again. I sat down on a paint bucket. Mike, what condition exactly? Your recovery, Dad. Sarah's been so worried about your immune system. She didn't want to put you at risk. 24 hours. They'd planned a wedding, executed it, and were now informing me after the fact. Like a business memo. Where was it? City Hall. Just us, Sarah's parents, and her sister. We're having a reception next month at Brookhaven Country Club. That's when we'll celebrate with everyone. City Hall, 15-minute ceremony, $40 fee. The same place I'd gotten my business license renewed last month. No medical risks there. Mike, I would have liked to be there. I know, Dad, but Sarah talked to your oncologist's office. They said large gatherings are still risky for you. I felt my chest tighten. Which oncologist's office? Dr. Martinez. Sarah called last week to check on your status. Dr. Martinez, who I hadn't seen since my 3-month follow-up in January, who had cleared me for full activity, who had told me I was cancer-free and could resume normal life. Mike, what exactly did they tell Sarah? That you're still immunocompromised, that crowds and stress could trigger complications, that you need to avoid large social events for at least another 6 months. 6 months. I looked at my calendar. It was February. That would take me through August. Son, I think there's been a misunderstanding. What do you mean? Before I could answer, I heard Sarah's voice in the background. Is that your dad? Tell him congratulations on his continued recovery. Mike covered the phone, but I could hear muffled conversation. When he came back, his tone had shifted. Dad, Sarah wants to talk to you. Mr. Thompson? Sarah's voice was professional now, clinical. I hope you understand why we made this decision. Help me understand, Sarah. What exactly did Dr. Martinez's office tell you? Well, when I called to check on your latest results, the nurse mentioned your white blood cell count was still fluctuating. Fluctuating. Interesting word choice. From what to what? It's complicated medical terminology, Dad. The important thing is that you're still in a vulnerable phase of recovery. Sarah, I'm looking at my latest lab work right now. White blood cell count is 7.2. That's normal. Silence on the other end. Dad, Mike jumped back on. Sarah knows what she's talking about. She sees cancer patients every day. I'm sure she does, but I'm not her patient. Of course not. She's family. She's looking out for you. That's when something clicked. Sarah wasn't just offering opinions. She was making medical claims about my condition to my family, based on information she allegedly got from my doctor's office. Mike, can you put Sarah back on? Sure, hold on. Yes, Mr. Thompson? Sarah, when you called Dr. Martinez's office, who did you speak with? The the nurse, the one who handles patient updates. What's her name? Another pause. I don't remember exactly. It was a brief conversation. And she told you my white blood cell count was fluctuating? She said there were some concerns about your immune function, yes. Did she mention neutrophil counts, lymphocyte levels, any specific numbers? I was fishing now. But Sarah was supposed to be an ICU nurse. She should know these terms. Like I said, it was complicated. The main point is that you're not ready for stressful social situations. Stressful like a 15-minute ceremony at City Hall? Any change in routine can be triggering for cancer patients. Mike took the phone back. Dad, look, it's done now, but the reception will be amazing. 3 weeks from now, March 8th, Brookhaven Country Club, 85 guests. You'll be the guest of honor. 3 weeks. Enough time for Sarah to build another medical excuse. Mike, I want you to do something for me. Sure, Dad. What? Call Dr. Martinez's office tomorrow. Ask them directly about my condition, not Sarah's interpretation. Get the actual medical facts. Dad, why would Sarah lie about something like that? Good question. Why would she? I'm not saying she's lying. I'm saying there might be some miscommunication. Medical information can be complex. Okay, I'll call them. And Mike? Ask them specifically if they told anyone I was immunocompromised. Ask if they recommended avoiding social events. Dad, you're overthinking this. Maybe, but humor me. After we hung up, I sat in my empty store staring at the phone. 8 months of isolation. 8 months of medical excuses. 8 months of watching my son pull away. And now they'd gotten married without me. I opened my desk drawer and pulled out my latest medical records. Every test, every follow-up, every clear result. Then I did something I should have done months ago. I called Dr. Martinez's office myself. Dr. Martinez's office, this is Linda. Linda, this is Robert Thompson. I have a question about patient privacy. Sure, Mr. Thompson. How can I help? If someone called claiming to be my family member, asking about my medical condition, would you give them information? Absolutely not, sir. We can only discuss your medical information with you unless you've signed a specific authorization form. Have I signed any authorization forms? I heard typing. Let me check your file. No, sir. No authorizations on record. So, if someone called last week asking about my white blood cell count, you wouldn't have given them that information? Definitely not. That would be a HIPAA violation. I felt something cold settle in my stomach. Linda, has anyone called asking about my condition in the past few months? More typing. I don't show any calls requesting information about you, Mr. Thompson. Your file's been pretty quiet since your last appointment in January. Thank you, Linda. That's very helpful. I hung up and stared at my lab results again. Sarah had been lying for 8 months about everything, and now I knew exactly what I was going to do about it. That night, I spread everything across my kitchen table. Medical records, insurance statements, lab results, phone bills showing dates of family calls, a timeline of every event I'd missed. The numbers told a clear story. Treatment completed September 15th. Clean scans October 3rd. Normal blood work. November 12th, December 18th, January 22nd. Dr. Martinez's final clearance letter dated October 8th. Patient cleared for all normal activities, no restrictions. But Sarah's story was different. According to her, I was still fragile, still recovering, still too sick for family life. I pulled up my text messages with Mike, scrolled back 8 months, found the pattern. October 15th. Sarah thinks you should skip the barbecue, too many people. November 20th. Sarah's concerned about Thanksgiving, your energy levels. December 22nd. Sarah says Christmas crowds might be overwhelming. January 14th. Sarah thinks you need more recovery time before the promotion party. Every exclusion traced back to Sarah's medical opinion. I made a decision that would have made Marie proud. My wife never let anyone push her around, especially when family was involved. I called Thompson Investigations the next morning. No relation, despite the name. Just the best private investigator in Dallas, according to Google reviews. Thompson Investigations, this is Janet. I need to hire an investigator for a family matter. What kind of family matter, sir? Someone's been making false medical claims about me, possibly accessing my private health information without authorization. That sounds like potential fraud. Let me connect you with Detective Morrison. 20 minutes later, I was sitting in Morrison's office, a converted warehouse in Deep Ellum. Former Dallas PD, 25 years experience. Gray beard, sharp eyes, and a handshake that said he'd seen everything. Tell me what's happening, Mr. Thompson. I laid out the timeline, the missed events, Sarah's medical claims, the wedding exclusion, Dr. Martinez's office confirming no one had called about my condition. Morrison took notes. This daughter-in-law, she's a nurse? ICU nurse at Dallas Methodist? That's interesting. She'd have access to medical databases. Epic system, patient records, insurance information. What does that mean? Means she might be able to look up medical information on patients, including family members. The room felt colder suddenly. Are you saying she could access my medical records at the hospital? If you've ever been treated there, or if your insurance processes through their system, potentially yes. But that would be highly illegal. HIPAA violation, professional misconduct, possible criminal charges. Morrison leaned back in his chair. Here's what I'm thinking. We document everything. Get official statements from your doctor's office. Request audit logs from the hospital showing who accessed your records and when. Build a timeline of her claims versus medical reality. How much will this cost? $2,500 retainer covers about 40 hours of investigation. If we find evidence of medical fraud or HIPAA violations, this becomes a much bigger case. I wrote the check without hesitation. $47,000 for cancer treatment, but $2,500 to protect my family relationships seemed like a bargain. There's something else, Morrison said. The reception you mentioned, March 8th, Brookhaven Country Club, 85 guests. Perfect venue for documentation, public setting, multiple witnesses, professional environment. If she's been lying about your condition, that's where we expose it. What do you mean? You show up, healthy, energetic, with complete medical documentation. Make it clear to everyone present that you're not the sick man she's been describing. The idea terrified and excited me in equal measure. But what if she's right? What if I really am too weak for social events? Morrison pulled out his phone, scrolled to the camera, and handed it to me. Look at yourself, Mr. Thompson. I saw a man in his early 60s, clear eyes, good color, steady hands. I'd been working 60-hour weeks at the hardware store, lifting inventory, dealing with customers, managing employees. Do you look sick to you? No. Do you feel sick? I feel better than I have in years. Then we have our strategy. Document your actual condition. Gather evidence of her false claims. Present facts to family and friends in a public setting where she can't manipulate the narrative. I left Morrison's office with a plan. 3 weeks to build an airtight case. 3 weeks to gather evidence that would end Sarah's medical manipulation forever. That afternoon, I called my attorney, Helena Rodriguez, estate planning specialist. She'd handled Marie's will and my business contracts for 15 years. Robert, good to hear from you. How's the recovery going? That's actually why I'm calling. I need advice about medical fraud and family manipulation. I explained the situation. Helena listened without interruption. This is serious, Robert. If she's been accessing your medical records without authorization, that's a federal crime. If she's been using false medical information to manipulate family relationships, that could be defamation, fraud, maybe elder abuse. Elder abuse? I hadn't thought of it that way. What should I do? Document everything, get witness statements, request official medical records. And Robert? Yes? Be careful at that reception. If she realizes you're on to her, she might escalate. I hung up, feeling something I hadn't felt in 8 months. Power. Friday night, February 18th. Mike called around 6. Dad, Sarah's making dinner tomorrow. Pot roast, mashed potatoes, the works. Why don't you come over? Perfect timing. My first test. I'd love to. Really? You're feeling up to it? Mike, I feel great. Better than great. Silence. Sarah's going to be so happy. She's been worried you weren't eating enough. Saturday evening, I drove to their apartment complex on Mockingbird Lane. 1800 a month for a two-bedroom unit. Nice place. Sarah had good taste, I'd give her that. I parked and checked myself in the rearview mirror. Fresh haircut, clean shave, button-down shirt, and khakis. I looked like a man going to dinner, not a cancer patient struggling through recovery. Mike opened the door with a huge smile. Dad, wow, you look really good. I feel really good. Sarah appeared behind him, and I watched her face carefully. Surprise flickered across her features, quickly replaced by concern. Mr. Thompson, are you sure you should be out? It's been a long week, and your immune system is working perfectly, according to my latest blood work. I handed Mike a manila folder. My lab results from Tuesday. White blood cell count 7.2, neutrophils normal, lymphocytes normal. Dr. Martinez says I'm in excellent health. Mike opened the folder, scanning the numbers. Dad, these look great. Sarah moved closer, reading over his shoulder. Numbers can be misleading for cancer patients. The ranges are different. Actually, they're not. I pulled out my phone, opened the Notes app. I called the American Cancer Society Wednesday, spoke with their patient education specialist. For post-thyroidectomy, patients with clear scans, normal lab ranges are identical to healthy adults. Sarah's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. Dad, why are you researching all this? Mike asked. Because I've been feeling isolated, missing family events. I wanted to understand my actual medical status versus what I've been told. What you've been told, Sarah's voice had an edge now, by well-meaning family members who might be overly cautious. We moved to the living room. Sarah excused herself to check dinner, and I heard pots clanging louder than necessary in the kitchen. Dad, she's just trying to protect you. I know, son, but protection without accurate information isn't protection, it's control. Mike looked uncomfortable. What do you mean? I pulled out my insurance statements. $47,000 in treatment costs, all completed by September 15th. Clean scans October 3rd. Full activity clearance October 8th. Yet I've missed 8 family events in 5 months. Sarah says recovery takes longer than doctors admit. Based on what medical evidence? Before Mike could answer, Sarah called from the kitchen. Dinner's ready. We gathered around their small dining table. Pot roast, mashed potatoes, green beans. Comfort food, the kind of meal a sick person supposedly couldn't handle. I ate with genuine appetite, seconds on everything, asked for the recipe, complimented the seasoning. Sarah watched every bite. You're eating a lot tonight, she observed. I'm hungry. Been working long days at the store. You shouldn't be pushing yourself so hard. Your body needs rest to fully heal. Sarah, I'm not healing anymore. I'm healed. Cancer recovery isn't that simple. My cancer recovery is that simple. I kept my voice level, friendly. Stage 1 thyroid cancer, surgical removal, 1 radioactive iodine treatment, 6 weeks recovery, done. Mike set down his fork. Sarah, maybe Dad knows his own body better than we do. Sarah's face flushed. Mike, I work with cancer patients every day. I see what happens when they push too hard too soon. What happens exactly? I asked. Complications, infections, recurrence. What's the recurrence rate for stage 1 papillary thyroid cancer with clear margins and negative lymph nodes? Silence. Less than 2% over 10 years, I continued. I looked it up. Complications from social activities? 0 documented cases in medical literature. Sarah stood abruptly. I need to check dessert. She disappeared into the kitchen again. I heard the freezer door slam. Mike leaned across the table. Dad, why are you challenging her like this? Because, son, accurate medical information matters. If I really were fragile and immunocompromised, I'd want to know. If I'm not, I don't want to live like an invalid. But Sarah's been so careful, so protective. Mike, has Sarah ever shown you actual medical documentation supporting her concerns? Doctor's notes, test results? Anything besides her verbal interpretations? He thought about it. No, I guess not. Don't you think that's odd? For 8 months of medical advice? Sarah returned with store-bought ice cream, scooping it aggressively into bowls. Sarah, I said conversationally, when you called Dr. Martinez's office about my condition, which nurse did you speak with? Her hand stilled on the ice cream scoop. It was a brief conversation. I don't remember her name. Linda's been Dr. Martinez's only nurse for 6 years. Sweet woman. Very helpful when I called them myself this week. The ice cream scoop clattered into the container. What did they tell you? Mike asked. That no one has called asking about my medical condition. That they would never give out patient information to family members without written authorization. That sharing my lab results with anyone would be a HIPAA violation. Sarah sat down hard in her chair. Dad, Mike's voice was quiet now. What are you saying? I'm saying someone's been giving our family inaccurate medical information for 8 months. Someone who claims to have spoken with my doctor's office but never actually did. I looked directly at Sarah. Someone who might have other ways of accessing medical information. Sarah's face had gone pale. I don't know what you're implying. I'm not implying anything. I'm stating facts. No one from my medical team has recommended avoiding social events. No one has expressed concerns about my immune system. No one has suggested I'm too fragile for normal activities. Mike looked back and forth between us. Sarah, is this true? I was trying to protect him. From what? Family dinners? Birthday parties? My wedding? The word hung in the air like a challenge. Sarah's composure finally cracked. Fine. Maybe I was overly cautious. But cancer is serious, and I see what happens when patients don't take recovery seriously. Then you'll be happy to know I'm taking my recovery very seriously, I said, standing up. Seriously enough to get second opinions. Seriously enough to verify medical claims. Seriously enough to show up at your reception next month, healthy and ready to celebrate. Sarah's eyes widened. The reception? March 8th, Brookhaven Country Club. I wouldn't miss it for the world. I hugged Mike goodbye and headed for the door. Dad, wait! Mike called after me. I turned back. I'm sorry. If Sarah was wrong about your condition, I'm really sorry. Son, you were trying to protect me. I understand that. But now you know the truth. As I drove home, I saw Sarah in my rearview mirror, standing in their doorway, watching my car disappear into the darkness. Phase 1 complete. She knew I was on to her. Now things would get interesting. Monday morning, Mike called. His voice was strained. Dad, we need to talk. Can you come over tonight? Of course. Everything okay? Just, can you bring all your medical records? Everything from the past year? I smiled. Sarah was making her move. I arrived at 7 with a thick folder of documentation. Medical reports, lab results, insurance claims, pharmacy records, everything organized chronologically with sticky note tabs. Sarah was waiting at their kitchen table, her laptop open, several printed pages spread out in front of her. Mr. Thompson, I owe you an apology, she began. I may have been overly protective. May have been? Okay, I was, but I want to show you why. She turned her laptop screen toward me. These are statistics from the American Cancer Society about post-treatment complications. I sat down and read her printouts. Infection rates, immune system recovery timelines, recommendations for gradual return to social activities, all legitimate medical information, none of it specific to my case. Sarah, this is general cancer patient data. Stage 4 patients, chemotherapy patients, radiation patients. I had none of that. But thyroid cancer is still cancer. Stage 1 thyroid cancer. I opened my folder, pulled out Dr. Martinez's treatment summary. Papillary carcinoma, T1N0M0. 1 centimeter tumor, no lymph node involvement, no metastasis. Surgical removal, prophylactic radioactive iodine, 6-week recovery. Mike read over the document. Dad, this says excellent prognosis, full recovery expected. It also says patient may resume all normal activities after 6 weeks. I pointed to the date. That was October 8th, 4 months ago. Sarah shifted in her chair. Doctors are often overly optimistic. Based on what evidence? I pulled out another document. My 3-month follow-up report. No evidence of disease. Patient doing exceptionally well. No restrictions recommended. But your white blood cell fluctuations? What fluctuations? I spread my lab results across the table. November 12th, WBC 7.1. December 18th, WBC 7.3. January 22nd, WBC 7.2. February 15th, WBC 7.2. Where's the fluctuation? Sarah stared at the numbers. Mike picked up each lab report, checking the dates and results. These are all normal. Completely normal, I confirmed, within standard ranges for healthy adults. Sarah, Mike's voice was careful now, you said his white blood cell count was unstable. I said it might be unstable. Cancer patients often experience delayed complications. Show me. I leaned forward. Show me one documented case of delayed white blood cell instability in post-thyroidectomy, patients with clear margins. Sarah opened her laptop, typed frantically, "There are studies. I'll wait." 5 minutes of searching, 10 minutes. Sarah's face grew redder with each failed Google search. "The point is," she finally said, "cancer recovery is complex. Better safe than sorry." Safe from what? Birthday dinners? Thanksgiving? My son's wedding? Mike stood up abruptly. "That's what I don't understand. Sarah, you convinced me Dad was too sick to attend our wedding. But look at him. Look at these reports. I was protecting him from stress. Whose decision was that?" My voice remained calm but firm. "Whose decision to exclude me from family events? To isolate me from my son? To make medical judgments about my capabilities?" Sarah's composure cracked. "I'm a registered nurse. I have experience. You're not my nurse. You're not my doctor. You're not my medical power of attorney." I gathered my documents. "You're my daughter-in-law who's been lying to my family about my health for 8 months. I wasn't lying. You told Mike that Dr. Martinez's office said I was immunocompromised. Dr. Martinez's office confirms no one called asking about my condition. What do you call that?" Silence. Mike sat back down heavily. "Sarah, did you actually call Dad's doctor?" I I researched his condition thoroughly." "That's not what I asked." More silence. "Answer him, Sarah." My voice cut through the tension. "Did you call Dr. Martinez's office? Yes or no?" Sarah's shoulders sagged. "No." Mike's face went white. "So you lied about talking to his doctors, about his condition being unstable, about him being too sick for our wedding. I was trying to protect. You were trying to control." I stood up. "The question is why?" Sarah's laptop screen still showed her failed medical searches. Her printed statistics still sat on the table, irrelevant to my actual condition. "Mike, I think we need some time to process this," I said. As I reached the door, I turned back. "Sarah, the reception is 12 days away. I'll be there, healthy, energetic, and ready to celebrate with my family." Her face had gone completely pale. "See you March 8th. The social media post started the next morning. Mike called around noon, his voice tight. "Dad, have you been on Facebook today?" "No, why?" "Sarah posted something about last night, about you." I opened my laptop, navigated to Facebook, searched for Sarah's profile. The post was public, shared 12 times already. Having a difficult conversation with family about cancer recovery expectations. It's heartbreaking when patients don't accept medical reality and push themselves beyond safe limits. As a healthcare professional, I've seen what happens when cancer survivors ignore recovery protocols. Praying for wisdom and patience as we navigate this challenging time. #CancerCare, #family. Struggles, #NurseLife. 53 likes, 27 comments of support. Thinking of you, Sarah. Family can be so difficult during medical crises. You're doing the right thing. Sometimes tough love is necessary. My uncle did the same thing after his surgery. Denial is part of the process. I scrolled through the comments. Sarah had responded to several, providing more details. "He's convinced he's fully recovered, but cancer patients often experience psychological denial. I'm just trying to protect him from overexertion. The doctors say he needs more recovery time, but he's resistant to their recommendations. It's especially hard because he missed our wedding due to his condition, and now he's angry about it." Every response painted me as a delusional cancer patient in denial, and her as the caring healthcare professional trying to protect me. My phone buzzed. Text message from my sister Janet. "Bob, saw Sarah's Facebook post. Are you okay? Should I be worried?" Another text. My neighbor Tom. "Hey, heard you're having some health troubles. Let me know if you need anything." Another. My business insurance agent. "Robert, got a call asking about your health status. Just checking if there's anything we need to know for your policy." Within hours, Sarah's narrative had spread through my social network. I was the sick old man in denial. She was the medical expert trying to help. I called Mike. "We need to talk. In person." "Dad, maybe Sarah's right. Maybe you are pushing yourself too hard." "Mike, meet me at the hardware store, right now." 30 minutes later, Mike walked into Thompson Hardware. I was restocking shelves, lifting 50-pound paint buckets, moving inventory around like I'd done for 30 years. Dad, what are you doing? Working. Same thing I've been doing every day for the past 4 months. I hoisted another paint bucket onto the high shelf. Does this look like someone who needs recovery protocols? Mike watched me work for several minutes. Saw me help customers, operate the register, handle the physical demands of running a hardware store. Dad, you seem fine. I am fine. That's what I've been trying to tell you. I pulled up Sarah's Facebook post on my phone, showed it to Mike. Read this. Tell me what you see. Mike read silently. His expression darkened. She says the doctors recommend more recovery time, but your doctors cleared you months ago. Keep reading. She says you missed our wedding due to your condition, but we know she convinced me to exclude you. What else? Mike's face flushed. She's making you sound mentally unstable, like you're in denial about being sick. 27 people commented with sympathy for her situation. 53 people liked her post about my supposed medical crisis. None of them have the actual facts. Mike sat down on a paint bucket. Dad, she's lying to everyone. Not just lying, son. She's systematically destroying my reputation, making me look like a difficult, delusional cancer patient who won't accept medical reality. I showed him my phone. 6 people contacted me today, worried about my health. My insurance agent got a call asking about my medical status. Someone's spreading word that I'm unstable. Who would call your insurance agent? Someone who wants to create a paper trail of medical concerns. Someone building a narrative that I'm not competent to make my own healthcare decisions. The implications hung in the air between us. Mike stared at Sarah's post. Dad, why would she do this? Before I could answer, my phone rang. Morrison, the private investigator. Mr. Thompson, we got the hospital records you requested. You need to see this immediately. What did you find? Your daughter-in-law accessed your medical records 17 times over the past 8 months, without authorization. That's a federal crime. Mike heard every word. I looked at my son, saw the realization dawning in his eyes. Mike, I think Sarah's been planning this for a long time. The question is what she's planning to do next. My phone buzzed with another text, this time from Sarah herself. Mr. Thompson, I'm concerned about your mental state after last night. I think we should discuss getting you a psychological evaluation before the reception, for everyone's safety. Mike read the text over my shoulder. Dad, she's trying to make you look crazy. I smiled grimly. Good thing I've got 17 HIPAA violations that say she's the criminal. Time for the next phase of my plan. Morrison's office at 8 a.m. sharp. He had 3 manila folders spread across his desk and a laptop, displaying what looked like a hospital database. Mr. Thompson, sit down. What I'm about to show you is bigger than medical fraud. He opened the first folder. Hospital audit logs. Your daughter-in-law accessed your electronic medical records 17 times, between June 2023 and February 2024. I stared at the printout. Dates, times, duration of access, all unauthorized. June 15th, 2:17 a.m., duration 14 minutes. That's 3 days after your initial diagnosis. She was accessing my records at 2 in the morning. Night shift, fewer supervisors around. June 22nd, 3:45 a.m., 12 minutes. July 8th, 1:28 a.m., 19 minutes. Morrison flipped through pages. Every access was during overnight hours when she thought no one would notice. The pattern was clear. Sarah hadn't been giving medical opinions based on her nursing experience. She'd been reading my actual medical files without permission. What was she looking at? Everything. Lab results, doctor's notes, treatment plans, prognosis reports. She knew your exact medical status better than you did. Morrison opened the second folder. Hospital employee records. Sarah Martinez Thompson, hired March 2022. Good performance reviews until December 2023. What happened in December? 3 patient privacy violations. Accessing records without medical necessity. She was written up, put on probation. My stomach dropped. She was already in trouble for HIPAA violations? Gets worse. January 15th, 2024. Caught accessing records of patients not under her care. Specifically, cancer patients. Hospital launched an investigation. Morrison pulled out a hospital memo dated January 18th. Internal review found pattern of unauthorized access to oncology patient files. Sarah was scheduled for termination February 28th. February 28th, 8 days after my reception. She was about to lose her job. Already lost it, technically. She's been on administrative leave since February 1st, pending criminal investigation. I sat back in my chair. Sarah hadn't been working at the hospital for 3 weeks. All her recent medical authority, her claims about seeing cancer patients daily, her professional expertise, all lies. There's more. Morrison opened the third folder. Financial records, bank statements, credit card bills, student loan documents. Sarah's got $87,000 in student loan debt. Credit cards maxed at $32,000. Monthly expenses of $4,800 on Mike's software engineer salary of $5,600 monthly. They're broke. Worse than broke. They're behind on rent, car payments, minimum credit card payments. Sarah's been taking cash advances to cover basic expenses. Morrison pulled up a document on his laptop. Property records show your home is worth $420,000, free and clear. Your business assets are valued at approximately $180,000. The pieces clicked into place. She needed me out of the picture. Isolated from family, declared mentally incompetent due to cancer recovery complications, may be committed to long-term care. Mike inherits everything as your only child. Morrison leaned forward. Mr. Thompson, I think Sarah's been planning this since your diagnosis. The medical isolation, the wedding exclusion, the social media campaign, questioning your mental stability. It's all building toward a competency challenge. I felt cold. She was trying to steal my life. She was trying to steal your death, make you disappear legally while keeping you alive physically. Perfect crime. Morrison handed me a thick envelope. Complete documentation, hospital audit logs, employee disciplinary records, financial statements, HIPAA violation evidence, plus witness statements from Dr. Martinez's office confirming no one requested your medical information. What about her Facebook campaign? Screenshots of all posts and comments archived with timestamps. Defamation evidence. She's created a public record of false medical claims about your mental state. I opened the envelope, scanned the documents. 17 unauthorized medical record accesses, each one a federal crime. Minimum fines of $50,000 per violation. Potential prison time. Morrison, I want to hire an attorney, healthcare law specialist. Already found you one. Patricia Hoffman, former federal prosecutor, now specializes in HIPAA violations and medical fraud. She's expecting your call. I dialed the number Morrison provided. Miss Hoffman? Robert Thompson. I need legal representation for HIPAA violations and attempted financial fraud. 20 minutes later, I had legal counsel and a plan. Mr. Thompson, Miss Hoffman said, this is one of the most systematic HIPAA violation cases I've seen. 17 unauthorized accesses, false medical claims, defamation campaign, attempted isolation of elderly family member. We're looking at federal charges, civil liability, and possible elder abuse prosecution. What happens at the reception? We document everything, public venue, multiple witnesses, clear demonstration of your actual health status versus her false claims. Then we present evidence to hospital administration, medical licensing board, and federal authorities. I left Morrison's office with 850 pages of evidence and a legal strategy that would end Sarah's schemes forever. The reception was 6 days away. Sarah had no idea what was coming. March 8th, 7 p.m. Brookhaven Country Club looked elegant under the string lights. 85 guests mingled on the terrace, champagne glasses catching the evening glow. I parked near the entrance and checked my appearance in the rearview mirror. Navy suit, crisp white shirt, silver tie. I looked like a man celebrating his son's wedding, not a cancer patient struggling through recovery. In my briefcase, 850 pages of evidence. In my phone, Patricia Hoffman on speed dial. In the parking lot, Morrison's surveillance van, recording everything. Mike spotted me first. Dad, you made it! His genuine happiness made my chest tight. Wouldn't miss it, son. Sarah appeared beside him, radiant in a silver cocktail dress. Her smile faltered when she saw me. Mr. Thompson, I'm so glad you felt well enough to come. Are you sure you should be out this late? It's been a long day. Actually, I feel fantastic. Best I've felt in months. I worked the room methodically, shook hands with cousins, hugged Sarah's aunts, chatted with Mike's coworkers. Every interaction demonstrated energy, clarity, and perfect health. Robert, you look wonderful, said my sister Janet. Sarah had us so worried about your recovery. Sarah's very caring, sometimes overly protective. I noticed Sarah watching from across the room. her expression growing more strained with each normal conversation I had. At 8:30, the toasts began. Mike's best man shared college stories. Sarah's sister talked about their childhood dreams of fairy tale weddings. Then Mike took the microphone. Sarah and I want to thank everyone for being here tonight. We know some of you couldn't make the ceremony itself. His eyes found mine in the crowd. But having you all here now means everything to us. Polite applause. I caught Sarah's sharp look at Mike. Before we continue, Mike said, I want to acknowledge someone special. My dad, who's been battling health challenges this past year, made a huge effort to be here tonight. The crowd turned toward me with sympathetic smiles. I felt the narrative being written in real time. The brave cancer patient, struggling to attend his son's reception. Time to change the story. I stepped forward. Mike, could I have the microphone for a moment? Mike looked surprised but handed it over. Thank you all for being here. I want to address something important. My voice carried clearly across the terrace. There's been some confusion about my health status, and I think it's time to set the record straight. I saw Sarah's face go pale. 8 months ago, I was diagnosed with stage 1 thyroid cancer. Excellent prognosis, standard treatment, complete recovery. I've been cancer-free since October. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Unfortunately, some well-meaning family members became overly cautious about my recovery. I've missed family events, been excluded from gatherings, and even missed Mike and Sarah's wedding ceremony because of concerns about my health. Sarah stepped toward me, but I continued. So I brought documentation tonight. I opened my briefcase, pulled out medical records. My latest lab results from Dr. Martinez. Blood work from Tuesday, all completely normal. I handed the papers to Janet, who read them aloud. White blood cell count 7.2, thyroglobulin undetectable, no evidence of disease. More murmurs. Sarah tried to interrupt. Mr. Thompson, this isn't the appropriate time. Actually, Sarah, this is exactly the appropriate time. Because for 8 months, you've told my family I was too sick for gatherings, too immunocompromised for social events, too fragile for my own son's wedding. The terrace fell silent. You told Mike that Dr. Martinez's office expressed concerns about my immune system. I called Dr. Martinez's office. They confirmed no one ever called asking about my condition. Sarah's face flushed red. There were miscommunications. No miscommunications. Let me read you something. I pulled out another document. Hospital audit log from Dallas Methodist. Patient record access history for Robert Thompson. Sarah went completely still. June 15th, 2:17 a.m., 14 minutes. June 22nd, 3:45 a.m., 12 minutes. July 8th, 1:28 a.m., 19 minutes. I looked up at the crowd. 17 unauthorized accesses to my medical records over 8 months, all during Sarah's overnight shifts. Gasps from the audience. Sarah's hospital colleagues looked horrified. Sarah accessed my private medical information without authorization, then used that information to manipulate my family into believing I was sicker than I actually was. No, that's not true, Sarah started. Hospital disciplinary records show Sarah was placed on probation in December for patient privacy violations. She was terminated February 1st for systematic HIPAA violations involving multiple cancer patients. The crowd erupted in shocked conversations. Sarah's sister grabbed her arm. Sarah, is this true? Sarah's composure completely shattered. I was trying to protect him. From what? Birthday parties? Thanksgiving dinner? My son's wedding? I stepped closer to the microphone. You weren't protecting me, Sarah. You were isolating me. I pulled out the financial documents Morrison had gathered. $87,000 in student loan debt, $32,000 in credit card debt, monthly expenses exceeding income by $1,200. You needed me out of the picture so Mike could inherit my assets. Mike stared at Sarah in horror. Sarah, what is he talking about? The wedding exclusion was just the beginning, I continued. The Facebook posts questioning my mental stability. The suggestions that I needed psychological evaluation, you were building a case for incompetency proceedings. Sarah's hospital supervisor, Jennifer Walsh, stepped forward. Mr. Thompson, are you saying Sarah illegally accessed your medical records? 17 times. I have the complete audit trail. I handed her a folder. Every unauthorized access, including the duration and specific information viewed. Jennifer's face went white as she scanned the documents. Sarah, you were specifically trained on HIPAA compliance. These violations could result in criminal charges. I never hurt anyone, Sarah pleaded. You hurt me, Mike said quietly. You made me believe Dad was dying when he was perfectly healthy. You made me exclude him from our wedding. The crowd watched in stunned silence as the truth unfolded. I took the microphone again. I want everyone here to witness something important. I'm not a sick man. I'm not in denial about my recovery. I'm not mentally unstable or incompetent. I looked directly at Sarah. I'm a healthy 62-year-old man who was systematically lied to and manipulated by someone who violated federal law to access my private medical information. Sarah tried one last desperate appeal. Mike, you know I love your father. You used his cancer diagnosis to steal 8 months of our relationship, Mike said. You made him miss our wedding. You convinced everyone he was too sick to function normally. Mike took the microphone from me. Dad, I'm so sorry. I should have trusted you. I should have asked for proof instead of taking Sarah's word. The crowd watched as my son and I embraced for the first time in months without the specter of illness between us. Jennifer Walsh approached Sarah with two other hospital administrators I hadn't noticed arriving. Sarah Martinez Thompson, hospital security is here to escort you from the premises. Federal authorities will be contacting you regarding potential criminal charges for HIPAA violations. Sarah looked around wildly. This is my wedding reception? No, I said firmly. This is my son's wedding reception, and you're no longer welcome. As security escorted Sarah toward the exit, she turned back to the crowd. He's not well. Often seemed fine before complications set in. I held up my medical records. Stage 1 thyroid cancer, completely treated, excellent prognosis, 0 restrictions. These are facts, not opinions. The terrace erupted in applause as Sarah disappeared into the parking lot. Mike took the microphone one final time. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like you all to meet my father. Not the sick man you've heard about, but the healthy, strong, wonderful dad who raised me. As the crowd applauded, I felt something I hadn't experienced in 8 months. I felt like myself again. 2 weeks later, the consequences were swift and concrete. Sarah's nursing license was suspended, pending criminal investigation. The Texas Board of Nursing cited 17 HIPAA violations and systematic patient privacy abuse. Her appeal was denied. Dallas Methodist Hospital terminated her employment permanently. Jennifer Walsh called personally to apologize and confirm that all patient records would be secured with additional access controls. The federal investigation moved quickly. Patricia Hoffman negotiated a plea agreement, $25,000 in civil penalties, 2 years probation, and permanent prohibition from accessing any medical database. Sarah avoided prison time but would never work in healthcare again. Mike filed for annulment on grounds of fraud. The marriage was dissolved within 30 days. Sarah moved back with her parents in Oklahoma, her Dallas life completely dismantled. But the most important change was between Mike and me. Dad, I keep thinking about all the events you missed, he said over coffee at my kitchen table. Birthdays, holidays, celebrations. I can't believe I let her convince me you were too sick to participate in your own life. Son, you were trying to protect me. I understand that. But I should have asked for proof. Should have talked to your doctors directly. Now you know. Trust, but verify, especially when it comes to medical information. Mike pulled out his phone, showed me his contacts. I programmed Dr. Martinez's number. From now on, any health concerns, I call him directly. We established new boundaries. Medical information comes from medical professionals, not family interpretations. Health decisions are made by the patient, not by proxy. Family gatherings happen unless the patient himself says otherwise. My hardware store saw record sales in March. Word spread about the reception confrontation, and customers came by to check on my health, ending up buying paint and supplies while they were there. The local newspaper ran a story about medical privacy rights. I declined to be interviewed, but Patricia Hoffman used the case as an example in her healthcare law practice. Most importantly, my relationship with Mike healed completely. We had dinner every Sunday, talked daily, and planned a fishing trip to Colorado for summer. The last text I received from Sarah came 3 days after the reception. I was trying to help. I deleted it without responding. Some people mistake manipulation for care, control for protection, lies for love. But I learned something valuable during those 8 months of isolation. When someone uses your vulnerability against you, the best response isn't anger. It's evidence. And sometimes the truth is the most devastating weapon of all.